Well, there seems to be a spot of rust we've discovered on this side of the car, so they'll be needing to do a few repairs first. It was conveniently covered up by someone with that. Anyway, have to spend some time now cutting that out. That's a spot for the front hoop that I've already cut in there just so I can measure across the other side. And it is actually 1200, the same as the main hoop, so that'll make the sides square on, which makes things a little bit easier. Okay, well that's a little bit better, sort of. It's good to see that the chassis rail itself isn't rusted. In fact, there's not a skerrick of rust in there, it's quite good. So I need to make up a plate for it and weld it in and then get back to the cage. Okay, got our hole here that needs a bit of filler. We've measured it, it's only 1mm thick steel, so I've got some 1.2 zinc anneal there that I'll use for it. Make up a couple of cardboard templates, come up and pick up one here. I'll actually put another piece in there first with a fold down lip on it, just to remake that that bend that's down there. Put that in, weld that in first, then be able to weld these pieces in when I make them out of steel, of course. And I've got a punch here, an air punch that will I'll use it to fold down the seam on the edges, as well as punch holes in this to spot weld through. I can only do it on the edges around here. I'll drill some holes through here to line up with the cross member, with the with the chassis rail. So you can end up something like that. And what you can do is you can actually feel through to the edge and mark it. Once you take the cardboard out, you'll see where that edge is, and you'll be able to cut the cardboard template to it. The dirtier your fingers are, the better it works. Of course, you want to leave yourself a bit over on the edge, so you've got somewhere to bend down and weld. Pop a little flange onto that way the repair panel can sit down in it. There's the cardboard template close enough to done. There'll be a little bit of room for massaging things around once you get the steel one made. So just go and transfer it now to a piece of 1.2mm zinc anneal sheet. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so the shape's transferred to the zinc anneal now. Just got to cut it out. So it sits this way in the footwell, that pointing forward, so I've got to bend that up a little bit, bend that up, and this side here needs to be bent up, and it goes down into a trough and then back up on the other side. Wrap it around a piece of pipe to achieve that, I think. And of course cursing and swearing and hammering. So the front piece here has got to be bent up, measure the angle in the car and cut out a template for that. It's not too much of an angle. And then along the back it's got to be bent up to nearly 90 degrees. So that'll weld up to the cross member that's under the seat. Then it'll come down and then up the sidewall. I don't really want that bent up, but I don't really have much choice with this bender. It's okay because I can flatten it out again later. And it's a floor pan of a race car, so close enough's probably nearly going to be good enough. It's only a light bender, it's not really meant for pressing stuff. It's 1 mil thick, and I haven't got strapped down to the table. Once again, not too bad, that's close enough. That's probably going to be close enough. Yep, that'll do. You're ready to go. Time to do a bit of welding. Etc., etc., etc. So that's all the rust fixed in there now. It's a bit of a shame, but I've got to cut a hole in it straight away to put the front leg for the roll cage down into it. Just around about down in here somewhere. Anyway, that's one more job done. Okay, so we'll move on to making the front leg for it now. We're going to come from a spot on the main hoop, see where that white dot is there, along the top of the roof line, bend it down. It'll have to come down at a bit more of an angle than the front A-pillar because it's got to come down behind the dashboard over there. And the only bend in it in the vertical section will be just behind where the steering column is there now, and then down to the floor over there. So from the bunch of measurements that I've already taken, well, that's the front leg there and down. I've worked out that the total length for the pipe's going to be about 18.25. I'll make that bend first because that bend there is actually at 7.5 degrees to the plane made by those two members of the leg. You can probably see it over here a little bit better. It's actually outwards at an angle and then it comes straight down. The 68 degrees is the angle at the end. The notch I've got to put in the end of it to match up with the bend in the main roll hoop. So I get to cutting the length that's required to start with, and I'll measure out to make this bend first. Okay, so this is take 2 of this because I realised that I needed a flat surface down the other end to hold this angle finder. So this has got to be kicked off at 7 degrees to this 90 degree bend. Well, not 90 degree, but this bend that's in the one plane. So I need to measure that the angle difference between there, which we can zero out, down here, which needs to be 7 degrees. And now go and bend it at that angle and see whether I've just made a front right leg or a front left leg. Hope it's right. Okay, take 2 with this one as well. Realised that I was 90 degrees out of whack with making this notch, so I've just realigned it, and we'll cut that and see how it goes. I've got plenty of green on this end of it anyway, so I'm kind of expecting to take another bite at it. First job for today is to get some templates made up, make up the floor plates for this, and bring it up onto here at least. So that's the strongest part. There's the door pillar. No strength in the floor at all really. I'll bring it up here, roll it onto there, and put it across the top there. There is a 90-degree bend right in the corner there, more just a radius up. Start cutting 2 of them out of 3mm plate. I've got to cut the hole in the floor on the other side. Okay, I've decided that I'm going to remake this front leg. What I tried to do to start with was to make that lower section there vertical. And what that means, because it's touching the dashboard in there, it's actually quite a way away from the A-pillar at that point there. So what I'll do is I'll leave the base point, put that a little bit further forward than what it is there now, and come up at 70 degrees instead of 90 degrees. And the bend ends up being about in the middle of the screen there. So instead of having that, we'll go to that. Any of the steel that's been wasted in that leg will probably get reused in the shorter pieces later on, so it's no big deal. Okay, so the revised front leg has been made. I must say it fits a lot better. Instead of coming straight down, it comes down at 70 degrees into the base plate. That looks much better there. So at the close of play today, we've got both front legs made and just sitting in the car. They're not welded in or anything. I think they've actually fitted in fairly well. And I'll tack them into place tomorrow and probably make the front crossbar next, up on the roof line. And I've got holes in the floor underneath those, so once everything's tacked in place, I'll take those plates out, drop it down a bit, and then I'll be able to get at all the top joints to weld them all up. First job today is for the cross brace along the top of the windscreen, across there. The trusty little, very dodgy made up gauge. I can see that the angle that I'm going to need is about 5 degrees. There's 10 there, and it was on 5. Come in about 250. Bend at 5 degrees, straight across to the other side, same on there. Fairly simple to measure across. They're both 38mm tubes, so I'll have to change the end of the notcher. Change the hole saw in the notcher so that I get the right joint at either end. Should be fairly simple. Then I might get to tacking it all together. Right, well this is the front roll cage cross member up at the roof line. I've already made the notch in this end, and I need to make the notch in this end parallel with that one. So first I'll zero the level on that, and there's another piece that's the same size. I'll just drop it on there. Move it around until it's at 0. Close enough to it anyway. Fraction out doesn't really matter. Tighten it up at that and then drill the hole. So that's the front bar in place now. Might take a few minutes to tack that in and to tack the front legs back to the main hoop as well. The next ones I'll make are the cross pieces. They're going to come from the centre of the main hoop up here across to that corner there. So I finished off this afternoon by making the first of the 2 cross beams that go into the roof there, onto the main hoop there and down into the front corner. It's the same on both sides, so symmetrical about the centre line, and then from there we'll go down to over there on both sides as well. Sort of makes another hoop crossing from the front right of the car to the rear left of the car. Just tacked in there at the moment.